Alrighty, good evening everybody. It's Bobby Harvey broadcasting live once again from the station platform in downtown Ottumwa, Iowa. We're getting ready for another evening of an Amtrak station stop here in town. It is a very hot, very hot evening here in southeast Iowa. The temperature has been hovering just under 100 degrees Fahrenheit today for most of the afternoon, and here in the early evening it's probably down in the upper 80s now, I'd say lower 90s. I think the humidity's gone down a little bit. It has been very windy today. It's still breezy, not quite as windy as it was, but still very warm. Definitely the second day of summer, that's for sure. Yesterday was the first day of summer. Today is the second day of summer, and you can definitely tell that today. But as you can see, the sky is crystal clear blue. There is not a single cloud in the sky right now. It is great weather for photography. So we are hoping to get some good pictures tonight as we watch Amtrak come in live here on my YouTube channel. So welcome to all of you joining in now. As you might have noticed, we're just 2 minutes into the stream, and normally we're probably a good 30 minutes into the stream by now, and that's because our train tonight is a little late, running about 30 minutes late out of Mount Pleasant, Burlington, and Galesburg. They were about 30 minutes late leaving Galesburg, and it's been pretty consistent since then. Its next stops in Burlington and Mount Pleasant. Last time I checked before I started the stream, they were west of Fairfield, so they're getting close. And we just heard a little blip on the radio as A Train just commented and mentioned that 664 went through Ottumwa. And as I was coming down to the station, I actually heard them, I'm pretty sure it was them, on the radio doing switching in the Ottumwa yard. And they just, I'm guessing it was them, they just dialed up the dispatcher to head on east. So 664 is in town, but they're in the yard, which is further east from here, pretty much on down the line from where we're looking right now. They're stopped in the yard doing some switching, and then they're gonna head on east. Kind of too bad, because if Amtrak had been on time tonight, we would have been able to see that train, but it usually comes through when Amtrak's running on time. But Amtrak is not running on time today, a little late. Now, I don't know if they departed Chicago late or if they just lost some time along the way. Would not surprise me if there were some heat restrictions along the railroad today because of it being so warm. Now, heat restrictions are definitely a thing on this line because it is a line that is, it's a main line, so it's full of continuously welded track, which you got to be careful when it starts getting warm, because that track will actually start to bend in the intense heat and cause sun kinks, which could cause derailments. So you got to be really careful. So the railroads issue heat restrictions, so the trains run at a slower speed. So if they were to encounter some defects along the line, they'd be able to stop in time. Probably amp up some of their track inspections on days like this today as well. So hopefully stop things like that from happening before a train shows up. But as far as I know, everything's running as usual on the line today. It's just depends on what's going on the railroad, whether there's other trains, whether there's, you know, other delays along the line. Probably just normal stuff. But 30 minutes is not that much time. So if they don't encounter many more delays along the tracks tonight, they can easily make that up as they continue west. So welcome everybody to the stream tonight. As I said, it's a little breezy, so you'll see that in the video from time to time, especially when I zoom up. But it's not near as bad as it was earlier today. Before the train gets here, and I think they're getting close. We got the conductor on the platform now, walking up the platform.
This is October dispatcher. Go ahead, sir. Switches main 2 at Ottumwa are stored, main 2 use. That's correct, and when we get to Burlington, we'll be going to the high side. High side at Burlington. Copy.
Okay, So that was indeed train 664. They are leaving Ottumwa on Main 2. And they mentioned, I don't know what that means, going the high side in Burlington. I don't know what that means. They've got work on the opposing track from the yard or what the deal is. But anyways, that train is east of us, so we won't be seeing that train. But a train just commented that number 5, our train, westbound California Zephyr, is through Agency now. Agency is only about 9 miles away from Ottumwa, so they're going to be here probably within the next 10 minutes or so, or less. So Dakota's here, welcome. Grandpa Leroy's here, James is here. A-Train, CAB DeBoth is here. Brian's here. Welcome, guys. Dakota said that he crewed one of the hot air balloons for the first time, and it's been windy. Well, I'm surprised. The Ottumwa Balloon Festival is going on right now, and I'm actually surprised they went up today with it being so windy. Kind of glad they did, because it would be kind of a bummer for, I mean, it's called Balloon Festival. It'd be kind of a bummer if it grounded all the balloons. Oh, he said they didn't go up today. Okay. Yep. I figured they probably wouldn't because of the wind. And unfortunately, the festival goes on tomorrow, and it's also going to be windy tomorrow. So, I don't know. Might be kind of a wash for the Balloon Festival this year, as far as seeing balloons up in the air. Of course, yesterday, I think, was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday it was very stormy. And a few days before that, it was also stormy. And we got some pretty significant rainfall the past couple of days. Probably close to, it would not surprise me if we got a couple inches of rain in the past couple of days. And then right after that, what happens? Well, it turns out to be sunny and very, very hot. And I looked at the forecast for next week, and it looks like it's going to be pretty rainy all of next week. So it's a good thing we're getting some somewhat decent weather right now. But if it were to rain, well, I'd probably still be out here because the new platform canopy is done. So if it rains, as long as it's not windy, you'd have some shelter from the rain. And it's kind of neat getting footage in not as desirable situations, because that is usually the footage that you end up remembering years down the road. Like it's really a pain to get at the time, like when it's really cold and snowing, or if it's storming in the summertime. It's really difficult to get pictures like that. But afterwards, and you go home and you watch it, that is some of the footage that really sticks out. Like there was a few years ago, I was doing some filming on the little Iowa Southern Railroad, which goes between Albia and Centerville, Iowa, just west of here. And it was around Udell, Iowa, which is just west or east of Centerville. I got caught in a really bad storm, and it was a day like this, and it just kind of blew up out of nowhere. And I was out pretty much in the middle of nowhere filming this train. They were stopped at Moulton Junction, about ready to go north. And this is just south of Udell, Iowa. And the storm, I had no idea it was going to rain that day. It's just one of those freak storms that just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And it turned really bad, really fast. And so I was in the car heading north to get my next shot of the train as they left where they were. And, you know, you're faced with, well, what do you do in a storm when you're out in the middle of nowhere? Well, you just kind of have to wait it out. And the railroaders, well, what did they do? They just got on the train and started heading north. And so I actually opened the back hatch of my car and set up the tripod in the car looking back at the tracks. The wind was blowing and the rain was blowing sideways and the train was coming north, and I managed to get a shot of the train without getting wet, but shooting out the back door of the car, I got this really, really dramatic shot of the train as it headed north in the beginning of this severe storm. Then I got some shots in Udell going by from the car, but driving rain. And then by the time we got to Moravia, the storm was gone. and there were just some really nice colors in the sky and clouds, and it was very quiet and calm. So yeah, I mean, that sticks out as one of my most memorable outings of that year. I think it was maybe 2018 or 2019 when I got that footage. But yeah, if you can get pictures of trains in not as desirable conditions, I mean, it's good stuff. Anybody can come out on a good day, but if you brave the elements, you can get some pretty decent stuff that not everybody can get in not as desirable weather. So a lot of you guys are tuning in now, asking some questions, so we'll try and get caught up on those before Amtrak gets here. A-Train said that a northbound left about 6:30 and was going to have a meet at Limby on the CPKC. So we might see, I don't know if we'll see part of that from afar down at the Diamond, which we kind of got that last time when we were on. Northbound train 181, the intermodal train on the CPKC. We kind of got a small snippet of that from a distance. But yeah, the weather, the sunlight is not that great looking west right now. So. Troy asks if the disability discount works on the California Zephyr. Well, I'm not really familiar with all of the Amtrak discounts. I do know that senior citizens get discounts, children get half off with adults. I know that's a regular thing. So the disability, I wouldn't see why not. If there is a discount, why that wouldn't work on the Zephyr. So we'll get to you guys' questions and comments as we go along tonight. But our train, the westbound California Zephyr, is pulling into the station now. Some of you asked when the train was coming. Well, here it is. A little late, but as they say, better late than never. So here it comes, folks. California Zephyr into Ottumwa. As you can see, there is a lot more people riding the rails tonight. And the train has, again, extra cars for the summer season. 4 sleeping cars and 3 coaches. A nice length of a train once again. Now this locomotive might look familiar, and that's because it's the same one that was on the train last week. Or I guess actually 6 days ago when we got this train. Number 190. Now the trailing locomotive is different. Number 155, it's a different engine that was on the train last time. Alrighty, the change of engineers is now complete. We'll pan back around to the passengers now. Now, Matthew Bernstein, welcome. He asks, do they have restrooms inside the locomotives? Yes, they do. In the P-42s, which are the engines that we see here, they're actually, I'm pretty sure they're behind the cab, inside the locomotive. It's behind the cab area. Now, in a lot of modern freight locomotives, the bathroom is actually in the nose of the locomotive, in front of the cab. Some of your older hood units, they would be back in the engine compartment behind the cab, just like in these engines. And there we go, there's our warning whistle. Getting ready to head out of town, so all the passengers that got off the train to stretch their legs, people getting on, getting off, time to clear the platform so they can get out of town. Now this particular locomotive has a pretty good sounding horn on it, very well tuned. Platform looks clear. We're about ready to head out. Still a couple people milling around on the platform. Can't tell if it's passengers or crew.
John, you in a position to make a warrant right now? Yep. All right, we got track warrant authority number 729, AMTK 190, Center, West Virginia. Line of field, main number 1, CPC, 135 from John. All right, I got track warrant 729. Warrant, Amtrak 190, 5.
All right, and away we go. So our consist is pretty good for the train tonight. There's our baggage car, a Viewliner 2, transition sleepers next. And there are 3 normal sleeping cars on the train. Dining car, sightseer lounge car, and 3 coaches. 2 normal coaches and the coach baggage car on the rear. And with that, the California Zephyr is now clear of the station platform here in Ottumwa. Heading west, his next stop in Osceola, about an hour from now. And then after that is Creston, Omaha, Lincoln, and all points west, all the way to Emeryville, California, a little under 2 days from now. And along the way, you're going to see some of the most spectacular scenery of any passenger train on this continent. It is one of the best.
Track 5, clear at the Milwaukee.
Amtrak's California Zephyr. Now, the engineer that got on the train is a friend of mine. He lives over in the Omaha, Lincoln area. And you might have heard him just now say that they're clear at the Milwaukee Road. Which, of course, the CPKC main line is a former Milwaukee line. I wish I could have been around during that time to capture some of those trains, but it's a little before my time, but still a lot of Milwaukee history and heritage can still be seen along that line. Up ahead, this line crosses about a mile from here at the Diamond Crossing. So the Zephyr is now clear. Let's see what our time. Yeah, they weren't in the station very long. I'd say it was probably about, the usual 8-10 minutes or so. They're dialing up the dispatcher now to give them the times at the Ottumwa stations. Let's see what they say. See how late they actually were.
Ottumwa dispatcher. Sure, dispatcher Amtrak number 5, 22 and 30 out of Ottumwa, over. 22 and 30 out of Ottumwa, copy, sir. And I believe we have some real estate that the previous crew was using if you'd like it back, over. Yeah, 730-42 is the one I show. If you got that one, it's displayed, over. All right, AMTK 190 West, engineer Ogundape and conductor Nook showing clear limits. Track 1 authority number 729-729-64. Excuse me, hold on a second, sorry about that. Let's try this again. Track 190 West, Ogundape and Nook showing clear limits. Track 1 authority number 730-730-42. Line 2, main number 1, CTC, Lucas Street to CTC Ottumwa. Installation is cleared 1935-1935, over. Amtrak 190 West, reporting clear on track 1730-42. Between CTC Lucas Street and CTC Ottumwa at 1935-1935. Is that correct, sir? 1935-730-42 for the Amtrak 190 West. That is correct, over. All right, roger that. Appreciate it. Being the Ottumwa dispatcher out. Thank you. Have a good evening.
So I believe what he said, it was 22 and 30, 722 and 730, so an 8-minute stop here in Ottumwa. Not bad. Running about a little over 30 minutes late, but like I said, you can easily make that up with the padding in the schedule if they don't fall too much further behind. So it's not that big of a delay. No big deal. And yes, somebody was just commenting. Buddy Railfan says that he watches that engineer's YouTube channel. I do too. Check it out. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Is it War Bonds something? It's really good. A really good channel. He has a lot of good stuff, including some old stuff from this area, from working on the railroad. So be sure to check that out. I put that in the, War Bonds. That's the name of the channel. So look it up. It's really some good old train footage from around here. Really good stuff. I've known him for a long time. Pretty cool guy. And one of those railroaders that's also a rail fan, which you have some of those. Definitely enjoys what he does on the railroad, which if you work for the railroad, you kind of have to, because it's hard work. Not everybody can do it. I'm not sure I could, really. As much as I love trains, it'd be very difficult for me to be away from my family for as much as they are. More than half the time you're away from your home terminal. And you get back, you might have 8 hours rest, and then you're right back on the railroad again. So what do you do in that 8 hours rest? Well, you probably sleep, and then you turn around and do it all over again. There's no weekends, no holidays, no time off whatsoever. I mean, it's hard work, and you could be on that train for upwards of 12 hours or more, depending on what run you'd have. But if you're not up on your time, they could just send you out on another train. And it just never ends. As much as I love trains, railroading, the way it is now at least, and the way it's been for many years, it's very, very difficult to have a good work-home balance. Some people can do it, but I don't think I could. Plus, you run the risk of turning your hobby into work, and that might cause you to despise some of your hobby, which I wouldn't want that to happen. So I'm content with just being a train enthusiast. Now, I will eventually, once I have more time in the future, I already kind of do this, but I'll do it a little more in the years down the road. But there are plenty of tourist railroads you can volunteer on, and you can actually get to be a railroader in a way without it actually being your real job. All the way down to being a conductor or engineer for a tourist railroad. And it's all volunteer work. You don't get paid for it, but you still get to experience working on the railroad and operating trains. And you get the very special treat of operating old trains, which you don't get to do on the mainline railroads today. So I don't know if there's anything else going on right now, but as per tradition, we'll leave the stream going for another 15 minutes or so, just to make sure that nothing else is coming along. Answer you guys' questions and discussion in the chat. It is a little later, so we're not going to dilly-daddle too long. Although, with the first day of summer being yesterday, we have almost the maximum amount of daylight that you can get at this side of the Earth this time of year. Okay, Dakota asks a very important question. Where's Patrick? Patrick is, well, kind of what we named the resident groundhog of this area. A few streams ago, I'd say it was probably about a month ago. It was around Easter time. We saw him scurrying about underneath that shipping container and all along this community garden area. I have not seen him in the past couple times that we've done these streams. Maybe he's underground staying cool. But the groundhogs, they've been down here for years. They've had tunnels, especially on the kind of the southeast side of the tracks, pretty much in that direction there, straight ahead, up on the hill where the old Milwaukee spur track used to go and join down with the CB&Q and the Wabash lines east of here years ago. Up on that hill, the groundhogs have dug like networks of tunnels in that hill. You got to be careful because they have so many holes and entrances to those tunnels that you got to watch where you step, or you'll turn an ankle walking through there. And we've seen them, like 4 or 5 of them up there, just kind of poking their heads out, looking around. So they've been down here for a long time. It's pretty hilarious to watch them scurrying about. I mean, they're giant rodents. You wouldn't think that they'd go fast, but they are very fast little animals, and they're funny. Very interesting creatures. So, for those of you still on the stream, watching now, maybe you've just joined in, just back it up about 10, 15, 20 minutes, and you'll see the Amtrak station stop for the night. Right now, Amtrak has departed the station. It's been about 11 minutes ago now. We're going to keep things going for another 10 minutes or so, just to make sure that nothing else shows up. Now, we did have a train go through before I started the stream. That was the eastbound local train 664. I don't know what was on that train or how long it was or anything, because it was working in the yard when I came down here, so it had already gone through. Yeah, it's just a very nice evening here. The lighting's getting really good. Of course, it's a little later than it normally is when I'm doing these streams. Very nice look at the buildings over here. Whereas this right here is a very, very old building. And if you zoom up on it really close, you might be able to still make out what's on the side of that building. 3 Star Cigars. You just barely see it now. You can kind of see the C and that left window there in the 3rd floor that I'm kind of zooming in on right now. That was a cigar factory. They made cigars there. And I'm pretty sure I'm trying to think, my great-grandma on my mom's side of the family worked there long time ago. And it's pretty cool that building's still here. And if you actually get to see some old pictures of the trains in Ottumwa, you can see that building in the background of a lot of the pictures of trains going through the station here. There's actually a book that I think it's called Southeast Iowa Railroads or something like that. It has a bunch of old photographs of the trains in Ottumwa and the surrounding area. And there's a picture of the old CB&Q streamlined steam locomotive that is stopped at the station. I think they had 1 or 2 streamlined steam locomotives that would substitute for the diesels on the Zephyr trains when they were new. And there's a picture of that engine stopped at the Ottumwa station, and the cigar building is in the background, and it looks, looks almost new. You can definitely see the writing on the side and everything, plain as day. Of course, you can't now, but right there, kind of the lower part, you can see it a little better. They call it ghost signage now. It used to be painted on the bricks, and over time it's just faded away. Kind of be neat someday if they could restore that. They've done a lot of restoration of ghost signs and advertising that you'd see on buildings. It'd be neat if they restored it someday. Be a great, whoops, sorry about that. A great backdrop for some future videos, maybe. Well, it's kind of quiet down here now. I'm gonna take a kind of brief look at the signals and see what they say, if anything. And we'll go for another 10 minutes or so and talk in the chat with you guys before we wrap things up for the evening. So I'm gonna take a look at the signals real quick. Nothing. They're out in both directions, east and west, so there's not any activity coming through here for the foreseeable future. But we will go ahead and just kind of talk in the chat for the next few minutes before I round out the stream for tonight. Before I get too far, kind of talk about some of the stuff I'm doing at home right now. As I mentioned in the past couple of streams, I have started, my wife and I bought a house, and there's a room in the house that is going to be dedicated to kind of an office, kind of computer room and train room. It's a spare bedroom in the new house, and I've done a little work on it today. Right now I'm just kind of planning out where the train layout is going to go and how I'm going to go about building it, kind of measuring some of the bench work and things like that. I have a lot of material left over from my previous 2 layouts, so I'll probably try and recycle as much of that as I can building the bench work. I'm sure I'll have to buy some new lumber, but hopefully not too much. Got plenty of hardware and stuff to put the layout back together. Might have to buy some more track too, specifically a switch track. I'll have to buy at least 1 remote control switch. For whatever reason, well, I run O-gauge trains, and Lionel Fast Track only comes in remote control switches when you go wider radii. The only manual switches they make are 036, one of the sharpest switch radii. And I've never bought any remote control switches because they're so expensive. We're talking like 80 bucks a pop. So I've just made do with these sharp switches, but I don't really need any much wider than that because most of my equipment doesn't really need much wider curves than 36. And you can kind of fudge it a little bit. Some of my longer equipment can still go through the sharp switches, so it's not a big deal. But the track plan that I'm working on now will require there to be at least 1 wider radius switch, an 048 switch, and it's going to have to be a remote control switch. But that's the only one. I'm still going to use manual switches, 036 switches on the rest of it. But it's going to be a pretty decent layout. The one track is going to circle almost the perimeter of the room. And then there'll be an inner loop, kind of a smaller loop, which will have some sidings and a small yard. And then something else I just kind of thought of, and I'm working into my plans now, there's going to be a pretty significantly sized passenger train terminal on one end of the layout, where you can run really long passenger trains into like a terminal station. There's going to be 2 or 3 tracks going into there. So that's pretty exciting. Always wanted to do something like that, to have to kind of recreate a large passenger station, which would kind of free up some of my storage space. Those passenger cars are really long and they take up a lot of storage. So if I had a spot to run them into, a big train station on the layout, it would free up more room to store my freight cars. But I've just been working on the plan right now. Don't have it done yet, but I've kind of started to lay it out. Still some posters and things that I need to hang on the walls before I can actually start bringing stuff in and start getting it laid out. But I plan on doing a update video once I get the room looking good, get everything hung on the walls and everything, and then start to do an actual like layout update and kind of a story-based video series of building the layout. And along those lines, I have plenty of other videos I'm going to try and introduce this year as well. Vlogging videos, I think I might do some of those, which might be more than just trains, particularly traveling. Attractions and our travels that we go on this year, things we do, food that we eat, all that stuff. Thinking of doing some vlog videos, and I think that'd be pretty interesting for a lot of people out there. I've always enjoyed watching videos like that, where people film their travels, pretty much, kind of like a video, like journal in a way, what you do on a trip, and all the things you see, and all the attractions and sights and sounds. It kind of ties into railroading, train travel. but not always. Sometimes it's just on the road. A lot of people fly. They go to different countries around the world. Some people go on cruises. A lot of different ways to travel. Of course, train travel is the best, but the second best way to travel is by car. And I really enjoy a good road trip, so we're going to be seeing a lot of that this year, hopefully, as my channel celebrates its, well, Bobby Harvey Video Productions celebrates its 20th anniversary this year. I haven't been on YouTube quite 20 years, but I've been making videos for 20 years. This month, in fact, probably getting close to the actual 20th anniversary right about now. Is when I made my first completed DVD. Now, coincidentally, it was also the year that YouTube came out, but I didn't get on YouTube right away. It was a few more years before I got on YouTube, but I started making videos in 2005. It's the 20th anniversary. A lot of big anniversary dates coming up. This will be the 25th year that I've gone to Old Threshers, in addition to it being the 20th year I've filmed at Old Threshers, which just blows my mind. Can't believe it's been that many years already. But it has gotten a lot of different things over the years just there, and other places too. Coincidentally, this is also the 75th anniversary of the Old Threshers reunion. Next year, there's going to be some important things going on in the United States because it is the 250th anniversary of the United States next year. And I just found out, of course, I didn't really think about it too hard, but I just found out today that the year after that, 2027, will be the 100th, or excuse me, the 200th anniversary of the first railroad in America. And that is really mind-blowing to think. Is that even right? Yeah? Wow. 200 years of railroads. That fact in itself is just amazing, that trains have been around for that long. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting and exciting things coming up nationwide and here on the Bobby Harvey Video Productions channel. So just be on the lookout for a lot of that stuff. In addition to all of the shorter videos that I'll be uploading of trains that I see here and there, and obviously the long feature-length videos that I like making. The next one being about the California Zephyr, from the entire trip from Chicago to Emeryville. My next big video project. I may not get that one actually released until after Old Threshers, because I like to get that video done first. And I probably will not get the Zephyr video done before Old Threshers at this point, because Old Threshers is just a little over 2 months away. I don't think I could complete a huge project like the Zephyr video in just a couple months. It's going to take me a lot longer than that. So, and after that, who knows? I mean, I have so many other projects that I could pick up on, that I could do. So I just have to see what happens in the future. So much video that I've taken over the years that I could put in videos, and I will. I'll never run out of things to create, that's for sure. Now, in addition to my O-gauge trains, I'm probably also going to start building some trains as well. I've built paper trains for many years, and I've toyed with the idea of building some actual operating, like cardboard paper trains that are O-gauge compatible, that could actually run on O-gauge track. And since I have everything in this new room, it'll be really easy for me to do that. So I can literally just build and also test it out just right in the same room. And if I need to do any research on the computer's right there. I mean, it's all right there. So I'm looking forward to starting to tinker around with that too. So be on the lookout for some videos about those projects as well. Okay, we're about ready to wrap things up tonight. We're gonna go through the chat again one more time, comment on some of this, some of the stuff here. Now, Dakota said, I hope to see you at the races so I could give you some balloon cards. I don't know if we'll make it out to the balloon races this year or not. Thought about going out there. I really thought of maybe doing a short video of the balloon races this year, but with the weather and them not going up in the air or anything, I mean, probably I may not get there this year, but it's a pretty neat deal. I've been down there a few times to see them. It's really neat. Joe Smith, he asked if I ever get any Operation Lifesaver Amtrak number 203 sightings. Well, it hasn't been through here in a while, but I have gotten some video of it coming through here in years past. I'm trying to think of the last time that engine came through. I think that was actually the Iowa Interstate car when it came through, and that's actually my most recent video upload on my channel. Number 203 was leading that train. I think that was the last time I saw it. So it wasn't that long ago, a couple of months, but before that, it had been a while. CAB DeBoth says he never knew that the Iowa Southern tracks had so much history behind it, and they do. And I could go into that now, but it'd be kind of a long narrative. But it's a pretty neat line down there. I have a video up about that line too. It's called Exploring the Iowa Southern, so look up that if you're interested in that line. I've taken a lot more videos since I made that video that I need to upload too. Tatted Railfan Productions says he's watching from Detroit. Wow, thanks for stopping by. And Matthew, in addition to his question about the restroom, he asks, how do they get to the second cab while in motion? Well, they don't. I mean, there have been they probably time it so they use the facilities when they're at a station, but I'm pretty sure there have been times on the railroad where they would actually have to stop the train, so that could happen. It's not unheard of. It does happen from time to time, I'm sure. But I'm sure they probably usually try to time it when they're in station stops. Buddy Railfan said that the locomotive had a narrow font K5LA horn. There's a lot of different variations, but the K5LA is I like to call it the Amtrak horn. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was designed partially by Amtrak back in the 70s. So it pretty much is the Amtrak sound, although there's several other railroads that have them now as well. Mostly Eastern railroads. Norfolk Southern and CSX have quite a few, but you'd see some occasionally on other railroads' engines as well. It's you kind of have to do a double listen because you hear it, you just think Amtrak, and then it's a freight train. It's like, oh, especially around here. If I was on Norfolk Southern or CSX main lines, it'd probably be just commonplace to hear them. But around here, you don't usually hear a K5LA unless it's Amtrak or another railroad's locomotive coming through town. Matthew also asks what the transition sleeper car is. And Brian kind of answers the question after that. It's, lets the crew have access to the low-level baggage car, and that's exactly it. That's why it's called the transition sleeper, is because most Superliner cars have the diaphragms on the upper level to allow passengers to go back and forth between cars from the upper deck. The transition sleeper has an upper diaphragm on the back and a lower diaphragm on the front. So you can go from the rest of the train down into the baggage car, which is, of course, a single-deck car. And that was kind of an idea pioneered by the Santa Fe Railroad when they had their high-level cars, which was the inspiration for the Superliner cars. They had step-up cars that allowed not only access to the baggage car, but also when they combined the Super Chief and the El Capitan together. The Super Chief, of course, was a single-deck train. The El Capitan ran with the high-level cars, and that allowed them to combine the trains together and go from single-deck cars to double-deck cars. The conductors and crew could walk the length of the whole train from the transition car. the high levels, and especially the transition cars, went on into the Amtrak era. The transition cars were some of the last cars to be retired. They were used for quite a while on the Superliner-equipped trains until the second batch of Superliners came along that the transition sleepers were in. And then, of course, they replaced all the high-level cars on Amtrak. A lot of those, believe it or not, still exist on other railroads. A lot of tourist railroads have them now. Dakota says, we'll need to see your collection sometime. Well, hopefully within the next few weeks or so, I'll have some videos up about layout progress and kind of show you guys the plan I have and start running some trains here. It doesn't take very long. Believe it or not, it really doesn't take that long to get the bench work up. When you have a plan and you're able to actually stick to it and everything, it takes maybe, you can probably get a table a day up and in place, and then plywood or homosote to screw down to the top, and then it'll be time to lay track and then do all the wiring, which that probably takes the longest amount of time. But after the wiring's done, then you can actually start running trains. Might be a little more difficult this time though, because the layout is bigger than some of the past couple layouts that I've done. So I might have to build the layout in sections. I get one loop going and then buy some more track and then start connecting all the other loops together. The way I wire it though is you get one loop set up, and then any more track that I add to it, you can just drop in a new feeder wire and hook it up and you're good to go. So adding on new sections of track isn't very hard to do. All right, folks, well, it is getting close. It's actually past 8 o'clock now. A little clock on the wall is telling me that's about time to wrap things up for tonight. We got to see Amtrak, and I see the signals are actually lit up now. And we'll take a quick look here. The signals are lit to the west, but they are both red, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. There's actually a rabbit down there. I was gonna show you guys the rabbit. He already crossed the tracks. Nice to see the sun getting lower in the sky. Hard to believe, now that we've passed the first day of summer, the days are actually going to start getting shorter again. Summertime is here. So, we have reached the end of the program for tonight. A little lighter viewership than the past couple of times, but that's okay. Been a pretty hot night, and looking forward to doing some more stuff tomorrow as the weekend continues. There's a couple of trains that I got down here before and after I did my live streams the past couple of times that I might get to uploading that this weekend. Kind of some interesting little filler of some of the freight trains that go through here. So be on the lookout for that. And all the other video projects that I have coming up. Of course, I'll let you guys know when I'm doing these live streams again. It'll probably be next Saturday. Maybe. We'll see, because next weekend is Railroad Days in Galesburg. And I am going to try and get over there next Saturday. So there may or may not be a stream next week. I might, depending on when we get back from Galesburg, if we go, I might do one that evening. Maybe I'll do it on Sunday, or I might just skip a week next week. But I'll let you guys know. As far as I know now, I'm going to try and do one next week. But if Railroad Days balloons up into being more than I expected, I'll probably just wait until the following week or Sunday. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And obviously, I'll let you guys know what I'm doing so that you guys can tune into that next week. For now, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up as the sun gets down in the sky and this hot day comes to an end. See Amtrak heading west. Hopefully they can make up some time on their journey as we wrap things up for this evening. So, thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in and watching tonight. Like I said, just be on the lookout for future videos and future live streams in the days and weeks ahead. So, Thanks for stopping by, everybody. We'll see you next time here in Ottumwa and along the railroad here in the Midwest. This is Bobby Harvey. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. So long.